In most installations that you'll find this system, you'll have a quad split that represents your inputs and your outputs. Currently, we're running the system in a 2-in, 2-out mode. There are other configurations, but let's just talk about it this way for right now. You also have your controller with your touchscreen, and of course your VGA. This is a huge bonus for your workflow. If you're lucky enough to have this in most truck situations, use it. It'll be a great benefit. We'll get to it soon, but just for right now, we're going to talk mostly about the controller and the quad split. The biggest thing currently right now is that I'm not recording, and I know this for two reasons. One is my live button is not lit up, and the other reason is because I do not have any red bands around my inputs. Once I hit the live button to start it recording, now I get my live record red bands going around my input screens as well as the controller. On the controller screen itself, what you're going to see is your home page. That's currently what we're looking at. I've got my record time code, my play time code. I've got VU meters, the position of my T-bar, and the speed of which is preset currently is 100%. I get some other options down here, we'll discuss that in a moment. But as far as the controller buttons themselves, here are my two outputs, program or P1, and my preview or P2. My live button, and the camera angle that I'm selected on. If I want to change the camera angle for my program 1 button for my P1 channel, I'm basically going to change it to now I'm looking at camera B. And the VGA screen over here represents that on the output. Again, changing camera angles is that simple. And then on the other side, the P2 side, again, if I want to change camera angles, it's as simple as changing that. You can have the same camera angle on either side, doesn't matter, or you can flip-flop. We typically normal them up as 1-to-1 and 2-to-2. A great feature about this system is the on-air lock. It's a soft key that's located right here. If I were to queue up a highlight and then roll it, I could press on-air lock. And this would stop anybody from touching any keys. They could touch them and it wouldn't do anything to the system. And then when I come back and I'm ready to take over again, I can toggle the on-air lock and regain control. One of the functions on the soft keys that are listed down below is the audio. And this gives you the ability to adjust your input and output audios of the dyno. It's a pretty cool tool. Navigating through your soft keys on the side here, these are your tabs. Currently we're on home. There's marks, highlights, playlists, library, search, and config. And each of these we'll discuss here in a little bit. Very important to understand about this screen is that your remaining time. This system calculates how much time is left on the dyno total. That's already taken into calculation of how many channels you're designated to recording. That's a great gauge. Here's some panel setups that I really like to do. You hold down the Shift, Function, and Next keys all at the same time. This opens up a window that allows me to set up my T-bar. I lift it off the bottom just a little bit and say that's actually my bottom. Now I know from here all the way down is actually 0. And I do the same thing for the top. I set it all the way up to the top, back it off a little bit, and say that's my top. Now I'm guaranteed that from this position on up is 100, and as well as all the way down here, that's around 0, all the way down. Here's where I set my jog knob sensitivity. I keep it right around 5%. You can increase it in steps of 5, but 5 really is my favorite. It allows for the greatest amount of sensitivity with the jog knob. This is also where you get to set your LCD brightness and your LED brightness. Don't forget to hit save and exit. Another thing that I do as part of my setup is I use the config tab down here at the bottom, and I might change a few things that I really like to do, one of them being clip. I like to hide my scenes. I make sure that I have all my angles saved for the highlights and maybe all my angles saved for library, as well as over here maybe choosing my dyno knob as being the main part of my jog speed sensitivity, and a couple of other things over here as well. My MEs, this is where I would come to set up my MEs and for doing mixed effects, as well as my panel. One thing that I turn off is delete dialog, and this way I can go ahead and every time that I delete something, it's not going to ask me, are you sure? And I just turn that off. And then I make sure that I hit apply right here, and that allows me to save it. The other thing actually about saving though is that I can take this configuration with me. I can actually, by hitting the shift and then the load save soft key, I can then choose to save my config, save it to a USB stick, and keep that with me. So that's basically what I do for my initial setup.